Hey, everybody, and welcome to this latest podcast. No, you're absolutely going to love it. So, whether you're watching or listening, you're in for a treat. Today, I've got a real great special guest that, we've been really wanting to connect with this particular association. That's awesome. My next guest has accepted our invitation and graciously given his time to be with us. He's a carpenter by trade. He's owned his own renovation company at the age of 20, which is pretty amazing. Well before completing his diploma of builders, and then started a company called Mondo Exclusive Homes in 2010, which is he told me a bit about it just off this, and it sounds pretty amazing. Which I've got no doubt I'm going to ask you a few more questions along that line. Since winning the Master Builders Association Rising Star Award in '09, Mondo Exclusive Homes has gone to be recognised statewide and nationally as a company for multiple projects, which is pretty awesome. And then with his spare time, which it doesn't sound like he's got a lot, but in his spare time, he also runs 3 charity events. He's done that over the past 10 years, raising money directly for a cancer sufferer close to him, and is a heavy contributor to the multiple sclerosis Appellathon. Is that right? Appellathon? Appellathon?
Bealathon, yeah.
Appellathon, which each year, which is awesome. He's also a housing counsellor and on the current board member. He's a current board member for the Master Builders in WA. He's passionate about mentoring and working with contractors and startup builders and really helping them grow to where they need to be. Please, please, please welcome to the show, Ray Kershaw. Ray, thank you for being a part of our show.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Pretty impressive CV right there, buddy. So I'm really excited about asking you a whole bunch of questions. So I might start with this. If you can just tell the listener or the viewer just a little bit about your background, what made you become a tradesperson, and how did that sort of lead into then obviously opening up the business and growing it to where it is today. If you can just give us a bit of maybe a background of your career so far.
Yeah, so my father is a carpenter builder from the UK. We emigrated to Australia in 1986. Basically, as a small child, I said I would never do what my father did. And they pushed me through private school and paid a lot of money for me to try and get a university education. And I did, I think, one day at uni and decided it just wasn't for me. I was more of a hands-on, practical kind of person. It just took me a while to realise that. So I went and did my apprenticeship with my father, and really I sort of excelled in that area. I did really enjoy working with other guys, having that experience of dealing with older contractors. But I really wanted to modernise the whole approach to building. I did feel it was very old school when I came into learning about it. So, once I got going, I was very quick into trying to implement technology into my business and really get in and amongst it and work on the business as well as in the business so that I could, sort of change how builders have done things in the past.
I really love that. Where it's funny you should say. Most people, they say they're not going to follow, and usually their parents don't want them to follow. But then you end up being even better than what the beginning was, which is pretty interesting. I really like the idea of saying of what you're saying around technology. I think today, the face of building, the building industry has changed. We were just talking about this kind of, off camera, and it's interesting. So I thought I'd kind of start with just talking a little bit about, with your company, currently, what some of the things that you're doing inside there that has really, I suppose, separated you from the competitors. And you said you build roughly 10 luxury homes, give or take, per year. I'm wondering what you use today that maybe you weren't using previously, or what you've seen being a part of the MBA, obviously at that level where you're at, that maybe some businesses are lacking that they could apply into their business that you feel would make a difference, or it has made a change for you.
So if we take a little step back, if I remember back to my father when he was operating as a carpenter and a builder, I remember the day that we got a fax machine, and it was just the most amazing day ever. We were ringing back to the UK telling them that we can stick a piece of paper in one end and they can receive it on the other. And it just seemed like this huge advancement in technology.
Yeah.
My father used to have to come home every night and ring up personally at like 5 o'clock, ring up every single trade that didn't either show up or was due on the job the next day. And that was what he had to do after hours to ensure things were on track. Everything was on paper. It was all hand scribbles, you know, files and files of information kept in the car. It was just, you know, so cumbersome the way that it was done. And those guys made it work. You know, they had to put in a lot of hours to make it all work. I started Mondo Exclusive Homes at the age of 25, and you know, smartphones were sort of just come out really. Apps were all the things. You know, emails now. We can take photos from your phone. So you know, right from the start of my career, I could take a picture of some reinforcement in a concrete slab, send it to the engineer from my phone, get approval to pour, all in the blink of an eye. It wasn't a 3-day process anymore. It was, you know, 3 minutes and we're getting approval to go. So the efficiencies of construction just went like exponential. You know, it was amazing. Since then, apps have been developed more and more, web apps, phone apps, etc. So in my company, we actually jumped on board and got involved with the company to basically, we bought a license for an app from an American company that is an all-in one for construction, where you can do your estimate, your proposal to the client, the full schedule. It keeps track of activity on the job every day. You upload all the photos, all of your files are on there. So each of my contractors now has this app on their phone. They can access real-time plans, real-time information, see who's coming on the job after them, have their contact details. They can instant message me, and my clients can also access all of that and see everything all at the click of a finger. You know, it's just that really set us apart from our competition. The fact that we're very transparent in what we're doing. We build a schedule from the start of the job. I've got to stick to that schedule because I've told the clients that's when we'll be starting, that's when we'll be finishing, you know, and they see everything in between. So it adds a lot of onus on me to make sure that happens. But the fact that my trades now are so well equipped with that information firsthand, it puts a lot of pressure on them to make sure that they perform and keep to those dates, you know. So because they know now, they can actually see in real time, if they don't make that date, it affects the next person and puts that person out of work. So it's sort of, it's quite a good system really, in that it gives them a bit more ownership about their own responsibilities on site.
And to me, I mean, I love it. Most of my businesses that I work with use technology similar to what you've got. I think what it does is it just elevates the playing field to the next level of professionalism.
Yeah.
You know, and for the building industry, it's been a while in the coming. Like now it's here. It's pretty much standard practice to be able to use that. And I think it's much more acceptable, you know, to that. So it's interesting you should say that. I really love that you've already embraced that level of technology to do it better. And then also what it does is it just, you know, time's money. So if you can save time, you make more money at the end of the day. And as we know, competition equals tougher margins. That's usually how it works. So, you know, I really love that. So, Ray, tell me a little bit about just the association that you're with. I mean, it's probably one of the best known associations in the industry, the Master Builders Association, you know. So, but I'm wondering if you'd tell me a little bit about why that, you know, why did you decide to kind of step up and do what you do with them today, and what it means for, I suppose, just people to be a part of an association like this?
Yeah, so the Master Builders Association is actually 122 years old, sorry, and it's probably the peak industry association representing the interests of civil, commercial, residential, building construction industry. The Master Builders exist to promote excellence and best practice to support growth in the building and construction industry. And it's an industry that provides significant contributions to the economy.
Absolutely.
It's a really good association. The Master Builders themselves support advocacy and professional services direct to their members. a lot of training and professional development opportunities. There's representation for the industry directly with the government and public sector. And it's a conduit for information sharing, keeping members informed on a range of important matters for both business and the state. It's a forum for members to share and exchange ideas and innovation. That's something that has been massive for my business. I've met so many like-minded members who we're competitors out in the market, yet I can give them a phone call and ask them for advice. We're on the same team, but we're not. And that's how it is. But to be able to pick up the phone and speak to some of these people is amazing. It's helped my business.
It's a community of like-minded people, right? So
yeah, exactly. I think MBA in Western Australia, we have 1,600 members, both metro and regional. And, our members carry out building and construction work throughout all of Western Australia in commercial, residential, resource construction, civil construction. So it's, and the Muster Builders, Western Australia is actually, we're a member of the broader Muster Builders movement, which is the Muster Builders Australia, which, each state has its own version of MBA. We all operate slightly differently because we all have different interests in each state.
Yeah.
But collectively, we're all a member then of Muster Builders Australia.
Yeah, gotcha. And tell me, Ray, I mean, you've got your finger on the pulse where it comes to the industry. You know what's going on, what's coming around, all of these type of things. What are you seeing today? And I suppose I've written some questions down here. I mean, we've just been through something pretty unprecedented. It's something that we're hopefully not going to see too much more like, but it's something that we've need to deal with, and that obviously being COVID-19.
Yep.
And I'm wondering what you've seen, kind of what's happening right now in the industry, and maybe, what the effects on the members, the good or the bad, have been with COVID. Because there's no doubt some businesses have been affected with it. Some businesses have gone better. Some businesses haven't. So I'm just wondering kind of, where you see it today, especially in WA, of what's going on at the coalface there with regards to businesses.
Yeah, sure. So the building and construction industry in Western Australia is extremely busy at the minute due to the Commonwealth Home Builder Program and the state government building bonus, which has really stimulated the industry. January 2020 and February, we were really starting to see an uptick in consumer confidence after having a couple of years in a bit of a lull in Western Australia. But, by March and the impact of COVID, things were looking pretty dire in Western Australia and Australia more broadly.
Yeah.
Sensing this, Muster Builders wrote to the Premier in March with a range of recommendations, included stimulus, and advocated on the members' behalf to ensure that we remained operational throughout COVID under social distancing protocols. The state government supported MBA's recommendation and announced unprecedented stimulus for the residential, commercial and civil sectors, building a clear pipeline including a $5.5 billion recovery package, which included a $174 million builder bonus, $318 million social housing economic recovery package, $200 million in a school maintenance blitz, and also $27.1 billion infrastructure spend. So overall, this created local construction jobs, and the multiplier effect across the economy has been huge. Now we understand not every industry has been as lucky as ours, but we are such a major contributor to the local economy.
Over 1 million people are employed through construction, right? So I suppose the overview of this is that the industry is really helping the economic recovery from COVID, and it seems like that there's good opportunity across Australia for businesses. I know personally my businesses that I work with are absolutely flat out. It sort of leads me to the next question. From a skilled tradesperson point of view, and I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure that whether it's your company, Mondo, or you've heard it through the MBA, are you seeing that there's a shortage of good skilled tradespeople wanting to work. It seems like there's a lot of work out there, but it's hard to get really good people to come and work for you. I'm not sure whether it feels like some of our quality that we used to have in tradespeople through apprenticeships, because of the way that the world's gone. It's not a lot of people want to become an apprentice anymore. They want a different. So I'm wondering what you're seeing from that point of view, and if you've heard it from obviously other people in the industry of what they're experiencing where it comes to hiring good labor.
Yeah, so look, I think the building and construction industry is really like leading the recovery of the economy, which is really great news. That obviously brings good and bad in that we've got plenty of work, but like you said, we've got a low amount of trades at the minute. Steadily, apprentices are reducing every year. What I'm hoping from this is it's actually really good news for apprentices at the minute, because now is the time to get into a market. You can see how much work is in construction, and the whole country is reliant on construction. We're such a young country in comparison to other countries. We've got years and years and years worth of building left in this country.
And years and years and years. We're a whole continent. So yeah.
So I think now is the time for apprentices to get in, and there's a lot of incentives for companies to take on apprentices. I think more and more parents will start to look to the construction industry and realise it's not just all about hard grunt work. Technology is coming in. There's a lot of things that are changing in the industry. It's safer. There's a lot more women in the building industry now, which is amazing. They have a totally different skill set to what the men bring. They bring a whole different mindset. It blows me away sometimes, some of the women that I've met in the industry that are just such good performers, such good businesswomen, and such good tradeswomen as well. Like they're amazing.
I think that they bring a dynamic that's long needed, and I think they having a collective like this lifts the standard of the industry itself. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I think today it's much more accepted that there's both sexes doing excellent work and excellent service, and nothing better than a woman's touch. We all know that. That's.
Well, I mean, I've had some three master builders. They've won Apprentice of the Year. There's been a couple of females that have won Apprentice of the Year the last couple of years. Great fixing carpenters, electricians, those like finishing trades. They just have such an eye for detail, and it's amazing that they're able to come into the industry now and they're just accepted. It's like, and the guys love having them there. It makes the guys lift their own game up a little bit, because sometimes the girls are showing them how it's done.
Exactly. Which and so it should be, right? That's how it works. It's interesting with that. So I suppose, what do you think the next 2 to 3 years is going to look like, kind of around the country for the building industry itself?
Yeah, so look, I think the experience of the past 6 months, 2020, has proved that there was a lot of pent up demand for new home building, just purely by how many people have jumped on board to build new homes with these with the stimulus.
Yeah.
So I think the midterm is clearly favourable for the industry and the economy. The only problem that we've got is the near disappearance of international migration during 2020 is a major risk, not only to construction but our whole economy. Australia's, like I said, a young country. We're a small population country. We need to continue growing by bringing in migrants into this country. That they have been what has built Australia. A different ethnicity comes over to this country. It does amazing things. Perth is quite unique. There was times where a lot of Italian and European migrants, they were all like the builders. We've had an influx of Vietnamese, Asians, Chinese. They've gone into farming and construction. We need those people constantly coming into the country to be building houses and working. And, so I think that is a big risk that we've got. I think, that there is going to be a shortage of trades in the next 2 years. And so hopefully, I suppose for WA, now that the borders have opened, McGowan's opened the borders, hopefully some trades will come, say, back from Queensland or New South Wales or Victoria, come work in Australia. But ultimately, I think we do need to be bringing in some more skilled workers from other countries with those skill sets to fill the void.
I'm with you as well. Look, I was just speaking to a client just before you, and we were talking about, New Zealand, Australian relations where it comes to, the COVID bubble type thing. And I said to them, right now we've got a shortage. We've got enough work for the next 3 to 6 months, but we need people. And I said, it makes logical sense that we start at least looking at our neighbours to bring people in. They've got very similar work ethic. They understand what's going on, English speaking, all of these things that come from there. So I'm with you as well. I think that there needs to be, to me in the industry, it feels like there needs to be two pushes. One, hey, let's see if we can get more international people back in. Two, I think, how do we really get across to young people to say, well, some of you are going to be IT and some of you are going to be solicitors and doctors, but some of you, guess what? It's okay to go to year 12 and still, become a tradesperson and become an apprentice and a tradesperson, because favorably or interestingly enough, after 5 years, you can run your own business and make more than the teachers that have taught you for the last 5 years, So, and yourself, you started very young with your father. You opened up the company when you were only 25, and this has been your life now in the last 10 years. And I've got no doubt, position where you're at today, you've made a pretty comfortable living. There might have been some ups and downs in your life, obviously. That's called life. But I think what people are not looking at, they feel that I'm just going to be working outside in the heat and digging holes. But the truth of the matter is there's so many different areas in construction, project management, QAs, there's all these different people, architecture, so now I was talking to somebody that just all they do is drone footage for insurance companies. There's all of these tack on amazing industries that still are a part of the industry that gives youth the opportunity to be interesting, exciting technology with that. So I'm wondering whether, what maybe you guys see from the NBA where it comes to that, maybe is there some incentives that are going on, some advertising that you're doing? I'm wondering if you've got some background on that.
Look, I think you hit the nail on the head in that there are lots of other industries within the industry now. I think, more than ever, 100 years ago, you became a factory worker at the age of 15 and you were a factory worker until the day you retired. Now, even for me, I started off on the tools. I educated myself and got into supervising, and then I, got into site management for a commercial company. Then I started my own business, and then even now, like I don't think, I haven't stayed stagnant, and as have many of the members at the NBA. No one's stagnant and just staying a director of their own business. Everyone's like looking out to do other things. So
Yeah.
I got involved with the Master Builders, and I wanted to get on the board, and I wanted to contribute and sit on the Housing Council. And I also worked for the State Administrative Tribunal on legal disputes between builders and clients. So I'm doing a few different things, and I think now for apprentices coming through, there's more chance than ever to go into other areas as you work your way through and build that experience. There's jobs out there that we don't even know will exist. That everything's changing so fast paced. In another 5 or 10 years, there'll be other jobs. I mean, who would have even thought that there would be such a job as someone flying a drone around 5 years, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden
now doing roofing quotes using a drone.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's I'm like, well, I just talked to the guy like last week. I'm like, you do what? He goes, yeah, Mount Fly the drone. We do assessment, and then they do a quote off that assessment.
So 10 years time.
Like it's kind of cool, right? Like from that.
Yeah. But in 10 years' time, what will the next jobs be? They're still going to be in construction, or every industry is going to have a different one, but we don't even know what those jobs are. As a new technology comes out, and it spawns a whole industry.
Well, there's going to be undoubtedly robotics as a part of it. And number two, I think it's printing homes, printing walls, printing all of that's coming. It's already starting, So it's interesting to see that. So yeah, that's it's exciting to see, Ray, that there's opportunity for people that have never even maybe thought about that opportunity today, which is pretty awesome, right? When you think about it. I always think like this, something that has impacted the world so severely, I think has also made us learn a lot about each other and what the opportunities are for us to do. And like you say, because Australia is such a young country with such a small population, considering the land size of what we've got, there's going to be, this is secured for the next 200 years at least, right, to be able to do what we need to do. Just a few more questions I want to ask, Ray. What advice would you kind of give, business owners in the industry today? And, what should they maybe be looking at to concentrate on right now and maybe prepare for in the next year or two? What are you seeing, whether it's in your business or through the MBA, of what's kind of coming?
Yeah, so look, I would tell any business, especially in construction, joining an association is probably the best thing you can do. I think master builders, for me, they've been the peak body. They represent quality and good ethics. And so, I think anyone should consider joining an association in their specific industry. I think the master builders has not only, they've been in my corner, that they've educated me, and they continue to help me better my business all the time. I think as well, people, I think like you said, COVID has opened us up to seeing some flaws maybe in our businesses in the past, like communication. Look what we're doing now. Imagine if COVID had hit 15 years ago, there'd be no Zoom and things like that. We're communicating more with our clients now more than ever. And I think building that relationship with clients is so important, no matter what industry you're in. If you're making coffee, it's good. Having that interaction with coffee, and handing a coffee over a table, just having that 2-minute chat of how's your day going, what are you up to? I think we only noticed between March and, say, September, we were starved of human interaction. And I think once we've come out of COVID, we realise how important it is to be connected.
And the interesting part, the people that thought they were special, all these influencers and all that stuff, weren't actually. It's the interaction with the guy at the supermarket or the coffee or the nurse, or you're completely, you've hit it right on the head.
And so we've just had our end of year sundowner at the Master Builders Association, and it was so good to see so many members keen to just get out and we're all just venting things that have happened to us and patting each other on the back and a bit of support and a bit of camaraderie. I think if I was to, that's the beauty about being a member of an association. You're surrounded by people that have the same business ethics as you. They're looking to achieve the same things. We're a support network for each other. Individually, you're very, very small. Collectively, we represent something very big.
Yeah, and I think one thing that comes from that too, Ray, is to be, like we said off camera, to me, I think being a part of an association isn't an if, it's a must to start with. Number two, I think what is recognized there is that people understand what you're going through or what you've been through or what you may about to go through. Because yourself, sometimes you just need somebody to just be there to understand it. I think association with then coaching, like my type of company, or coaching in general, I think adds the next level of layer to the business itself, because then you're a part of an association that's striving to lift standards. Standards equal better safety, better outcome for our audience and not only the business owners, but also their end user. I think it's important. And I love the fact, like you're saying, it's the ability to get together on a regular basis, to be a part of a body that is only there to help each other, not to help itself, to be honest. So I think that's really, really favorable. So I love what you're saying. I think it's important for people that maybe are not in that. The advice would be to get into that, which is really cool. So tell me a little bit, and we'll sort of finish off with this, Ray. Tell me a little bit about how people can find out a little bit more about becoming a part of the MBA. Anyone that's watching this, how would they go about maybe connecting with you or, the MBA itself, and, how they can, what to expect and a little bit around that.
Yeah, so look, each state has their own master builders. We all have our own individual websites, so you can go on, have a look, what's on there, what we stand for, what policies we're trying to achieve with government. Look, it's as easy as a phone call or a website inquiry, and someone from the membership team will come out and actually go through all that with you. I actually remember the day that they came out and saw me on site. And they brought me a lot of, it was a bit more old school, a lot of pamphlets and brochures. But for me at the time, I just remember sitting down and it was all stuff that resonated well with me. They were going to help me. They were going to educate me on contracts. They were going to, advocate on behalf of me to government to get a better outcome for me. I would say to anyone to reach out, at least have the discussion. It's the benefits of being a member. There's a lot of membership savings. Like we get a discount on Telstra. We get discount on contracts. We get free legal advice. We get free HR advice. A lot of them things really, really assist your business. It feels like I've got sort of a board of management outside my own business that I can go and get in touch with and get a bit of assistance. So look, I'll jump on the website. It's mbawa.com, or they can give MBA West Australia a call on 9476 9800. But yeah, anyone who's watching, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to put up my details. Anyone can contact me.
We'll put that in the notes and stuff. Perfect. Really, really cool. And I suppose the end question is this, buddy. If you had to start your business over again, what's the one thing that you do differently than what you maybe did when you first started?
Christ, I think if you're a small business owner, I could probably list a million things that I've done wrong. I think I would do them all again, because you're forever learning in this game, and I think you learn the best when it hurts your back pocket. So
back pocket, you're exactly right.
So look, I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't do. I would do it all over again. I think everyone would make changes in their business, but everything has changed so quick since I've started my business. It's a different industry than it was 10 years ago, and it's a different industry 10 years ago previous to that. In the next 10 years, it's going to blow my mind what it's going to be. So I wouldn't change anything. I'd do it all again. I'd do it right or wrong. It's got me to where I've got, and I think that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, that's very well said. Well, thank you, Ray. It's been absolutely an honor for you to be on my show. We're really excited. I've got no doubt that, people have some questions, and hopefully they'll be able to reach out to you. I love what the NBA does. And like I shared with you, I did a lot of speaking here in New South Wales, and hopefully when I come over to WA, there may be an opportunity there, which would be really cool. I love the building industry. We predominantly work with people in this industry. We specialize in this industry. I think there's a lot of really good people here, good, honest, open Australians that want to, work to better. They understand what it's like to do it from tough beginnings and then, work their way up. But I feel that, anything associated with building gives you a really good satisfaction and gives you a sense of pride and legacy of what, can stand well after that you're gone as well, which is pretty amazing. So I want to thank you and congratulate you on all the hard effort that you've done, and please keep on doing this. A lot of people need your help.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, and I hope your viewers get something out of this.
Awesome.